For the first 10 years of RuneScape's existence, the graphics of the game were easily one of the most recognizable in gaming. Leading the charts for the most popular free MMO in the world, almost every teenager with access to a computer would know the pixelated but charming looks of the game. I believe this was a large contributor to Old School's early success, players returning looking for the nostalgia they once had in RuneScape's golden years between 2004 and 2007. Seeing the title screen and entering Tutorial Island with the iconic interface and the funny dances. RuneScape, like your childhood remembers it. Now, it's not quite the same anymore. RuneScape has advanced since its famous glory days. Jagex have tried bringing the game up to 2021, away from the retro look of online gaming in 2006, and that's fine. RuneScape strives to stay relevant in an ever-competing market, and in a world where other companies keep popping out hyper-realistic, incredible games, Jagex is doing their best to offer the best possible graphics for low-end computers. RuneScape can and does look pretty, but currently, we're being escorted through an identity crisis where the game doesn't know what it wants to be. It's conflicting, confusing, and works against its own purpose. Jagex made their first move to stay graphically relevant in 2007, when they hired almost 30 just out of college designers to graphically update the entire game. With 18 months in development, the rework was probably RuneScape's largest update to date. Its release on the 1st of July 2008 was a success, giving the game increasing player numbers for the first time after the player freefall due to the removal of the wilderness and free trade some months prior. RuneScape HD was the norm for the next 4 years, bringing the game into its third era of graphics. It was kept consistent, it looked fun, playful like the game had done since the dawn of time. It still carried that unique look of RuneScape, but with higher textures. The same animations, the same designs. The game had a new lick of paint, and though it never really fully recovered from the devastating update in the end of 2007, it was still an iconic game. A game remembering its old self, a consistent game. In 2012, however, things were about to drastically change.
Next week we've got news on Cryptic Cluefest 4 and a first glimpse of something very special, the combat rework.
The evolution of combat was a red flag from the very start. A beta too short, an update too large to push out all at once. Though its intentions were good, it would dramatically change an incredibly important aspect of RuneScape for good, the combat, all in one large update. It didn't help that several aspects of the update were broken on release, making another large number of players leave the game. EOC also brought the release of some new armors and weapons, with designs stepping outside of the comfort zone of what you might expect from RuneScape. Even in the build-up to the EOC, Jagex updated the iconic armors in the game too, changing something very RuneScape. It's as if Mojang suddenly decided to update the diamond armor and make it look different. It was a hated update. Not necessarily because it looked and felt bad. I think the main issue was that the game had never felt less like RuneScape. With Solomon's General Store and the Squeal of Fortune released just months prior, it all piled together to become a new era of making animations and outfits as unique and appealing as possible, so that people who did buy them for real-world money would stand out in the crowd, and outfits and pets released with new content would be used to market the game. Look how cool you could be in this game if you played this specific content. It was about sales, and the coolest outfits would be locked to new content or purchasable for money. Jagex had no reason not to believe updating the graphics would be good for the game, but upgrading the graphics one update at a time to increase sales is a recipe for disaster. And these few months would be a tough start of a very complicated tale for the looks and aesthetics of RuneScape. Since then, the graphics have been ever-changing. New areas look incredible, and Jagex have from time to time returned to update old areas and quest cutscenes. It's a slow process to bring the game back up to date, and though the new places look amazing, it doesn't take long before they're also outdated due to Jagex's new approach to graphics. During RuneFest in 2019, Jagex proposed a new shine to medals which have slowly been brought out, but this as well makes armor look inconsistent between each other. In 2017, Jagex announced their new update strategy to rework current areas instead of creating new, and listed graphical reworks on their to-do list. Yet, the listed reworks were cancelled for some reason. That's not to say reworks haven't been added. Just look at the unannounced rework of the Restless Ghost in 2021. When Mod Mark was confronted with a graphical rework situation some years back, he said he wanted to update everything, but at this rate and doing it one object at a time will be a long process. It's not exactly a secret that RuneScape is a large game. With 43 minigames, 231 quests, 69 dungeons, 68 bosses, a massive surface world, and, as of 2011, 14,401 unique NPCs, it's hard to keep all of that up to date, especially at the speed Jagex are going at, with the intention to keep the graphics new and fresh every time a new method of designing content presents itself. It's a project that will never be completed, and it started to have an effect on the community. Reddit sees a consistent rate of criticism on the game's graphics from players wanting reworks and updates to bring the game more to level with itself. The shameful part is that the members of the community have lost hope in ever getting it fixed. With Jagex's recent years of shelving updates and avoiding bug fixes, it's not making things any better. Without knowledge of the internal systems at Jagex, I am taking a guess saying I believe it's the management at Jagex's fault here. The developers and artists are simply making content the management asks them to do, without much leeway to work on old content. The chance the good developers at Jagex did have to freely work on it, if they wanted to, would be the TAP project wherein employees would have Thursdays to work on whatever they wanted. This project was however put on hold in August 2018 and has not returned. It simply means the employees must work on the projects the management wants from them, which is obviously a natural thing to do in game development. But it also means that the employees that notice the issues in the game aren't getting the time to do anything about it. Jagex have for the past few years reworked content that the new players are seeing first. Quests and areas such as Demon Slayer and Burthorpe, as well as brand new content easily accessible in the starting areas like Violet is Blue. This tells me Jagex are making these graphical changes to appeal to a newer audience, which isn't exactly surprising. But it doesn't seem that Jagex are considering that the conflicting graphics make everything look untidy and unappealing. Take the northern side of Falador for instance, which can proudly boast 3 generations of hill graphics in one image, or these versions of the NPC Zanik, which are all in game at the moment. The shame in this is that there is no quick and easy solution. What Jagex should be doing is decide once and for all what feel they want the game to have for the next few years and stick to it. The graphics are getting better looking at them individually, but they need to know when to stop. Personally, I believe the logical stopping point should be with the upcoming character model rework. The player is obviously the one model we see all the time, and it should be a matter of the player model fitting into the environment rather than looking outdated inside of it, like it does at the moment in certain places. Once the model is reworked and brought to date, Jagex should rather focus on bringing the remaining areas up to date with it. In a perfect world, Jagex would repeat the successful update from 2008 and bring in a set of new artists to rework the entire game. It wouldn't have to be in one big go like it did back in the days. I can imagine that would be too large of an update for the current audience, but 1, 2, or maybe even 3 reworked quests, minigames, outfits, and so on a week would be all that it needs. Slowly but steadily bring the game up to a respectable level. Make it look updated, modern, consistent. Games like Minecraft and Team Fortress 2 prove a game doesn't have to be realistic to be successful. Even old school proves that with the current player base enjoying the game for what it is instead of a trip down memory lane. Okay, yeah, quick editor's note. I wrote this video before the entire RuneLite HD drama, so this part kind of aged like milk. The point is still somewhat the same though. Old school does prove that you don't need epic HD graphics to enjoy the game. Still, bad move, Jagex. Release 1.17 please. Thanks. It doesn't have to be top-tier graphics, which I'm getting the impression Jagex is trying to reach to some degree. It's okay to be playful. I'd say it's good, healthy. Make your own identity. RuneScape looked iconic in its old days, and still to this day do people instantly know what game this is by just looking at it. RuneScape 3 still has a way to go, but it's not too late yet. It's not too late to stop. Thank you all so much for watching. I enjoyed making this little review, a little outside of my comfort zone to the types of videos I usually do, but I could get used to doing something like this every now and then. Press the like button if you want, that'd be very nice. I like numbers. My name is Will Miss It, and I'll see you all later.